Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we're continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and its Ukrainian proxy forces. As well, we're going to have a look at some ongoing Chinese efforts to improve its military capability and also directly assist Russian forces within the confines of this conflict. So, first, the Russian Donbass offensive continues. We continue to see envelopment operations. We continue to see very large amounts of Russian airstrikes, missile strikes against Ukrainian infrastructure and military targets throughout the Ukraine. Now, additionally, we are learning that new Chinese weapon systems, new Chinese decoy weapon systems, are being deployed to assist the Russians in diverting Ukrainian air defense and North Atlantic Treaty Organization air defense systems against incoming Russian missile systems. Additionally, and let's go over to the Rondelli Foundation map. The Orshnik, intermediate range ballistic missile that has the ability to engage in conventional warfare using multiple reentry vehicles to attack targets. We are learning that if and when a major war were to break out between the Russian Federation and certain Western European NATO states, that the Orshnik being launched from Belarus could in fact hit many of these Western capitals within minutes. I believe the launch time to hit time for a target in Lithuania is under 2 minutes. So NATO forces deployed in Lithuania would have under 2 minutes before, in some cases, dozens of hypersonic multiple reentry warheads were to impact their targets. And again, these are being used in a conventional manner. Additionally, targets in England, in Paris, in Germany would be hit in under 10 minutes. I believe the clock time for the Orshnik hitting London and Paris is just about 8 minutes. So not a lot of time for France, the United Kingdom, to have any sort of notice. They probably, at least the civilian population in some of these areas, would not even know it's happening until the detonations actually occur. Now, again, the Chinese are providing some of these decoy systems to the Russians. Now, look, these are more advanced systems than what have been previously deployed. Now, additionally, over the last few days, right around Christmas, we had the opportunity to see some new Chinese weapon systems that have been displayed. We're going to have a quick look at some of these systems that have been shown. That is not necessarily a new system, obviously, but nonetheless a pretty cool little picture. And then we'll go over to this system here. This is the system that just flew. Some are calling it a tri-engine medium-range stealth bomber. Again, we just don't have a lot of information on what exactly this is, what its capabilities are. Clearly, it does appear to be some sort of stealth bomber aircraft. Now, with that being said, given the capability of beyond visual range air-to-air missiles, it is without question that this aircraft would have that capability. Now, it would not be utilizing its own radars. It would be using systems and radars from other systems, other subsystems within this attack ecosystem to stealthily launch long-range, beyond visual range, stealth air-to-air missiles. Now, would they actually be stealth? Probably not. But again, you have to look at some of these systems as being multi-capable, meaning that this system may not just be a system that will strike ground targets, a system that will launch cruise missiles or the Chinese version of the extended range JDAM. You have to wonder if this system could be used to launch a massive beyond visual range missile attack against air-to-air targets. So again, we just don't know the capabilities of this aircraft. And then again, another aircraft to the right there was also shown. Again, just not a lot of information. All we know is that they are allegedly 6th generation Chinese fighter or multi-role bomber aircraft that we're now seeing take to the skies. Now, does the U.S. have a counterpart to this? Not that we've seen. Again, most of which we know in terms of U.S. capability is the F-22, and that continues to be a unrivaled aircraft. And then finally, we have seen the Chinese recently launch a very large amphibious warfare ship that will have the capability to launch these G-11 Sharp Sword unmanned combat aerial vehicles as well. Now, with this being said, I just wanted to share some insight in terms of what certain elements within, say, the U.S. Air Force is saying about some of these systems that the Chinese are now showing. And if we go over we're gonna leave the area of the borderlands and the Ukraine, and we're going to move way to the east. And we're going to end up in Okinawa, Japan. Specifically at the Kadena Air Base. Now, what's at Kadena? Now, they're not always based at Kadena, but we know that F-22s, namely out of Alaska, do rotations to Kadena. The Kadena Air Base is just a couple hundred miles from the Chinese mainland. And in between Okinawa and China is Taiwan. And what do we know? Well, we know that the Chinese military operates heavily around Taiwan, to the north, to the south. And in doing so, this brings them into proximity with some of these F-22 pilots. Now, what I'm about to tell you now, just take it for what it's worth. The pilots of the American F-22 that are having the opportunity to observe, report, and in some cases fly near its opposing forces of the Chinese military, they're not very concerned. They understand that at least right now, they believe they have a significant advantage against Chinese aircraft. Now, have they flown against some of these new systems? Some of these new alleged 6th generation systems? Probably not. But I can tell you that these pilots, these F-22 pilots, have flown against J-20s. And these pilots don't believe that these J-20s have the capability to detect the F-22. I'm just giving you firsthand accounts. Again, take it for what it's worth, but the F-22 pilot flying out of Kadena, flying out of Alaska, right now, are not really concerned about Chinese opposition. Be it the J-20, be it the J-16, the J-10. Again, that's how good the F-22, they believe, is. So, I'm just telling you what I have been told. Take it for what it's worth. The F-22 is essentially called cheat code. Now, I've called the Brimstone that, but again, that's the quality of that F-22 aircraft. Now, look, there's some challenges with the F-22, undoubtedly. There's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of them. At any one time, there's probably 100 or so airworthy. I believe total built, 170, 180? But again, take it at face value. But again, this technology that we're seeing from the Chinese that was deployed around Christmas, that became public knowledge, this is some advanced stuff. These are new systems. Now, is that going to change the paradigm of what's happening right now off the coast of China and around Taiwan regarding the F-22 and its interaction with Chinese aircraft when these systems start to be deployed? Possibly. Undoubtedly. I mean, these are new systems. You're talking a leap in technology, especially when you're talking about moving from a J-16 or a J-11, a Su-35, a Su-30, J-10, to these systems completely different. Back to the Ukrainian war. So again, there has been some disputed reports about Kurakova. The deep state map, the deep state people are alleging that that Kurakova was not taken by Russian forces. But at this point, maybe the western outskirts of Kurakova have not been taken by Russian forces, but certainly the city center has been seized by Russian forces. It appears that as we speak, mopping up operations are taking place in and around Kurakova. Again, another pocket is forming, and we know what's happened. And again, this is a Ukrainian-supported website. If we go back and we look at what has happened over the course of the last several days and weeks, Hanavika, again, this area here, enveloped and then crushed. And then we're seeing it in other areas as well. We think next will be Novosilka. That will be enveloped and then crushed by Russian forces as well. And then we're also continuing to watch what is happening near Kupiansk. Again, envelopment operation. This area in which this pocket has formed both to the north and south of Kupiansk looks to be an incredibly precarious situation for Ukrainian forces, especially as the Russians drop glide bombs and prevent the movement of Ukrainian forces over the Oskil River in this area here. But the Ukrainians persist in trying to hold out some of these salients, and it's going to be a foregone conclusion that, again, the Russians will seize this area. And then finally, Kursk, it's now estimated that between 20 and 40,000 Ukrainian troops have now become casualties in the Kursk incursion pocket. 20 to 40,000 Ukrainian troops killed or wounded in the Kursk incursion pocket. As I've talked about before, the Russians are perfectly happy in terms of keeping Ukrainian forces in that pocket, thus preventing Ukrainian forces from moving into and assisting in the Donbass offensive. This will probably go down as one of the most key strategic decisions that led to the eventual defeat of the Ukrainian and North Atlantic Treaty Organization militaries in this ongoing conflict. So that's what we have for today. As always, thank you for joining us. More to come very, very soon. Have a good day.